Hi, welcome to the second part of the Qt charts tutorial. In our previous tutorial we designed this user interface in Qt Designer. You can watch that by clicking the link above. In this part, we are going to add the custom app title bar, the responsive side menu, and the 5 Qt charts. This is a preview of what we are going to achieve by the end of this tutorial, so stick around for that. Before we get started, a big shout out to all of you guys for the support. Thank you guys for helping me gain more than 2K subscribers. Keep up the good work. Also to my Patreon supporters, thank you guys, you're the motivation behind all this work. My hope is to continue providing more good content for our community. I hope you guys like it, just let me know in the comments section below. Alright, you can go ahead and grab all the resources for this project and develop your app along with me. Check the link in the description below. We will start by adjusting the margins, padding, and spacing in Qt Designer. If you downloaded this UI file then you can skip this part. Now once you are done, save the UI file, then generate the Python code. Now if we run the main Python file, this is how the user interface looks like. So now the next step is to add the custom title bar with the custom navigation. First of all, let's have a look at what's in the main.py file. This is just the style sheet we had used in Qt Designer, in case you missed that out. And we applied this style sheet to the central widget because this is the main parent widget. I will just close this file because we no longer need it. Back to the main Python file, these are our app imports. And this is the main window class. Now let us import other modules. Because of time I'll just copy and paste them. We have imported Qt Painter and Qt Charts from Pyside too, then we will also need to import Random and FuncTools module. Let me remove the random module, but I'll show you later where we need to use it. In case you have never used the FuncTools module, I will leave these links below where you can learn more about this module. Another module we need to import is the CSV module, because we are going to extract the charts data from the CSV files. The last module we need to import is the custom widgets module. This is a module I made to help make your app development process easier. I will leave this link below where you can learn more about this module. To install it, you need to run this command. You can also find more demos here. In this next part, I'm going to copy and paste a list of elements that we are going to apply a drop-down shadow. These are the widgets names that I copied from Qt Designer. This statement sets the minimum window size. And this loop function applies the drop-down shadow effect to the list of elements we created. Now let us add the custom title bar and remove the default title bar provided by the operating system. We are going to achieve this using the custom widgets module, which you can read more about by visiting this link, which I will leave below. Now, after you have installed the custom widgets module, create the style.json file inside your project folder. Inside this JSON file, create the main window object. Then pass your window title and icon link. Set the frameless and translucent BG value to true if you want to remove the default title bar. This is the default title bar. Also pass your size grip frame that will be used to adjust the window size. You can also choose to apply the background shadow to the central widget that will bring the window raised effect. Now the most important part is the navigation. This is the button that will be used to minimize the window size. This button will close the window. The third button is the restore button, where we will pass the button name and the two icons that will reflect the window status, whether the window size is normal or maximized. This is the frame that will move our app window when a user clicks and drags. And the title bar will restore or maximize the app window size when a user double clicks on it. Now, in order to apply the JSON stylesheet to your app, you need to call the load JSON stylesheet function. This error can be solved by importing the user interface file first, before importing the custom widget module. We have also not updated the UI file because we changed the button names. We also need to change the size of the size grid frame because the default size is 0. Next, we need to add the queue-stacked widget navigation, and we are going to easily achieve this using the custom widgets module. You can also achieve the same functionality using the tree view widget, which was recommended by Samer, but in this video, we are going to use the queue-stacked widgets. You can also read more about the custom queue-stacked widgets by visiting this link. Inside the JSON stylesheet, just below the queue main window object, create the queue-stacked widget object. Then pass the name of your queue-stacked module. You can also choose to add page transition animation. We are going to use the horizontal slide animation. The last most important part is the navigation, where you'll pass the navigation button name and the widget page it should display. The last part of the custom widgets, we are going to add the responsive side menu. Access the full documentation here. Copy this class name. In Qt Designer, right-click on the side menu widget and select Promote. Enter the Promote class name you copied, and also copy and paste the header file name. Add the promoted class, then click on Promote. Now inside the Json stylesheet, create the QCustom slide menu, then pass the name of your widget. Set the default size that will be applied to the widget on app startup. I have set the height to match the parent height. Also set the collapsed size that will be applied to the widget when you minimize the size. Then finally set the expanded size, which is the size that will be applied to the widget when the widget size is expanded. We also need to pass the toggle button, which when clicked will expand or collapse the side menu size. Also pass the two icons that will reflect the side menu status, whether the side menu is expanded or collapsed. Then set the side menu transition animation. We have to update the UI file to solve this error. Now as you can see, everything is working fine. The default side menu width is 0. And the button icon is updating. We are now done adding the UI navigation and animation. Now in the next part, we are going to add the 5 Qt charts, so keep on watching. If you downloaded the resource folder, you will find the CSV folder, which contains some CSV files. Copy and paste these files inside your project folder. We are only going to use 2 CSV files, so let me delete these extra files. So this is a preview of what our CSV files look like. The first row is the header row, then the rest of the rows is the data rows. This is a CSV file containing a list of billionaires from the year 1996 to 2014. The second CSV file contains some weather information, but in this tutorial, we are only going to use the minimum and maximum temperature data. So now let us create the functions that will create the charts. This is a function that will create the percentage bar char. I will explain step by step what every statement and variable does, because it's a long function, typing each line will take forever. Inside this function, we have initialized 2 JSON objects that will hold the data that we will extract from the CSV files. We also have the row count variable that will hold the total number of rows we have read from the CSV file. Now this statement opens the CSV file, and we will use the CSV reader, which takes the CSV file and the delimiter as arguments. For our case, the delimiter is the comma symbol. The CSV reader will return a list of rows which we will have to loop through and extract the information we need. Let me run the function so that we can see the output. Let me also update the UI file, but we will get back to this part, so don't worry about this error. We have to discard the first CSV row because it contains the header information. This statement creates a dictionary for each year, which will contain the names and wealth of each billionaire. And each time we read each CSV row, we have to increase the row counter variable by 1. This all the information we have extracted from the CSV file for each year, 1996, 2001 and 2014. So now the next task is to present this information in a percentage bar graph. We will start by creating the Q percentage bar series, which is a Qt charts object. After that, now we will extract the names and wealth from the year list JSON object and present it in a format that will be accepted by the percentage bar chart. We will append all the names to the name list dictionary and all the wealth to the wealth dictionary. After you have extracted all the data, now it's time to append them to the cart series. We have to loop through all the names on the list to create the Q-bar sets. In this example, I did not use the CSV data, so this is how you manually create the bar sets, if you decide to enter the data manually. And it's the same thing that is happening here, the only difference is that we are extracting data from the CSV file. The source code to this example is available for free download, check the description below. I know these statements might seem a little bit complex to some viewers, but I will demonstrate the simplified version of these statements if I was to write each statement manually. Let's start with the first statement. So this is how each statement would have looked like, which is similar to this. Now let us look at the third statement. You can see the similarities between the two types of statement. Next, create the chart, add the chart series, set the chart title and animation. You can read more about chart animations from this link, which I will leave below. Now create the chart axis, then append the year list category to the x-axis. This is also another way you can enter your chart category manually. This is how you set the chart legend. You can change its visibility and position. Create the chart view, then set the chart renderer and the chart theme. Read more about chart renderer from this link, which I will leave below. Qt comes with some preset themes which you can apply to your chart. Read more about these themes by visiting this link. Because we want our chart view to be responsive, we have to set the chart size policy to make its size respond to the window size. Now the final part is to set the minimum chart size, then add the chart to the container. Note that we are passing the layout name instead of the parent the widget name, because we want the chart size to be responsive. Then finally set the parent widget style, although this is not necessary. Now we are done with percentage bar charts. For the remaining charts the process is very similar with tiny changes. Next, we are going to add the bar set charts. So this is the function that will create the temperature bar sets. We will start by creating the low and high temperature bar sets, and we are going to extract the temperature information from the weather CSV file. The rest of the processes are similar to what we did in percentage bar sets. This function creates the bar graphs, and the process is very similar to other charts we have created. Now the process of creating the nested donuts, or the Qt pie chart series, is a bit different, but not that hard. We will start by setting up the chart view and the size policy, then add the chart to the container. We have a separate function that sets up the nested donuts and a QTimer function that will be rotating each donut. So now let us have a look at the setup function. We extract the CSV data. After extracting the data, we loop through the data and create the QPy series. Read more about the Py series by visiting this link. Then we also create the pie slices for each series. This mouse hover event listener breaks the slices on hover. Then finally we append each slice to the donut, then append all donuts to the chart view. That's all guys for this tutorial, I hope you learned something. This is the last video on the Qt tutorial series. It has been a really wonderful journey sharing with you guys, and I'm grateful for the support from subscribers and my Patreon supporters. Thank you guys. The next videos will be about Pyside app development, so stay tuned for that. Thank you for watching, I will see you in the next video. Stay safe.